One of the things that comes up a lot is what does it take to make a great ad? That's why we created this podcast. The whole dance studio advertising
Yep.
podcast is just to give studio owners a practical, grounded place to kind of stay up to date with what's going on because the market is changing quite a bit. And today I thought that we could talk a little bit about the psychology behind what makes ads successful. And this is different than what makes a great ad because it's like, oh, it's a little bit different, but really it's coming at it from, mom's perspective, if you will. And I don't know, I thought this would be an interesting topic that we could just go after.
Yeah. I mean, it's always good to revisit this again and again because you mentioned we hear this all the time, no matter how many ways we say it at a conference or in one of our YouTube videos or past podcasts, it for different folks, it may take a couple things until it clicks. And so that's kind of why I think we just
Right.
can't ever really touch on this enough of you really got to put yourself in the shoes of the parent who has no idea how a dance studio works, about the timing of the seasons. So that is really worth visiting. But I want to lay the groundwork here with just some data points. Now, we have at this point managed over $1 million in dance studio ads. We've had really great successes and we've had some failures, but that's how we all grow. That's how we learn and help everyone in the industry get better at this. And by far, the biggest market opportunity in that, if you think about it from skill levels of the dancers that you're attracting, the vast majority that are going to come in through advertising are going to be beginners. They're going to be parents with kids who have never danced before. And more likely than not, they're going to be in those early formative years, preschool age, early elementary age. That is the vast majority of where your market opportunity is as a dance studio. And knowing that alone should start to kind of give you some clues on, okay, does my marketing and ads resonate with a mom of a 4-year-old who has never danced before? And that's a good place to start, honestly, to think about
It's a great place
who's
to
looking at
start.
these.
Yeah. And just to put it into context, like we see this all the time. So I had a conversation just this morning with a studio owner and she said, listen, I've been to everything that you've ever done. Every webinar you've ever done, I've been there. Every session that you did when we were at Regolds this summer, I was at both of those. And then she was at Energize. And then she was like, I'm there. Like, I've been following you guys. I watch every video. I do all the things. Help. I don't get it. And I didn't get, to be honest, I didn't understand what she didn't understand. And it took a whopping 4 seconds to land on her website and understand exactly why she's struggling with her marketing. Now, this studio owner runs a really, like, you can just tell she's passionate and she runs a phenomenal program. But when I went to her website, it was all teenagers doing really impressive aerial jumps and splits in the air, and
Mm-hmm.
they're inverted in poses, and it just screamed, if you have a super talented ultra elite dancer, this is where you should come. But it didn't say, if you've got a 3-year-old, you should head our way. It didn't
Mm-hmm.
say that at all. It didn't communicate that at all. And it was just one of those small, tiny little tweaks that as soon as we surfaced it and I pointed it out to her, she went, oh my gosh, no wonder. But it does go back to understanding your buyer. And the reason this is important is because it's not just your website. It's every single thing that you put out there into the world. All
Yeah.
of the social content, organic content, the paid content, the ads, it's all part of it.
Right.
And if you're not sure who you're talking to, or rather, maybe put differently, if you're not being intentional with who you're talking to, you're probably got the wrong bait on your hook and you're catching the wrong fish.
Yeah. So bringing this down into practical sense, you got to know, we have a strong stance that these littles are the future of your business, right? You fill up, build from the bottom up, get all the preschoolers in, get those early elementary kids, and you keep as many as you can over the lifetime of their journey, of what they can do at your dance studio. And so that's kind of our main philosophy. That's how we see our clients have the most sustainable year-over-year growth, is by continuing to build a base. And preschoolers, they come in for a session, they go try something else, they come back. So you're going to see churn in those age groups, but your goal is to kind of provide a really great experience, and kind of sift through and let those that want more evolve and give them a progression upwards, because the ones that are going to stay with you year over year over year, all the way through elementary, middle school, high school, that's going to be worth so much more to your business there. So knowing that that's kind of our philosophy, your marketing content needs to feel approachable. It's got to speak to the desires and the needs of these parents. And what they're looking for is classroom readiness. My kid's about to go to kindergarten or school.
Yeah.
They've maybe haven't been exposed to students or classmates, or how to, respect a teacher. Like, all these are life skills that are going to help them succeed in school. Socialization, they're going to want to make friends. These parents are going to want to know that their kids are thriving, and you got to show them that your dance programs are a solution for them to help their kids thrive in any other aspect of life.
And let's be really, really real. So I have a dancer, right? And when she started dancing, it was honestly and truly because we took a free class. It was actually at the library. It was around St. Patrick's Day. It was Irish Step. It was a free class at the library. We didn't even know about it. My wife just happened to be there while it was going on. My daughter participated in it, and she was smiling the entire time. That's what started us on our dance journey. It wasn't even as intentional as classroom readiness or socialization. It was just my daughter had fun. And that is the power of a trial class, is you can bring people in and show mom that this is something that their kid enjoys. And honestly, that's it. That's the sell is, hey, little Susie had a great time today. And if I'm mom or dad and I see that, I want to bring her back. And it's just that simple and easy. But I think I just want to anchor this idea again, that I think that a lot of studios approach their marketing, their outreach, their advertising, their website with an understanding of dance. And it's known in marketing as the curse of knowledge, right? And so if you look at a spectrum from 0 to 10, 0 is you know absolutely nothing about a subject. 10 is you are a dominant master. Most dance studio owners are between an 8 and a 10. They're very, very good. You grew up in this world. You know it well. You experienced it. You've done it. You've run your studio for 20 years. You're at the top of that spectrum. And you know that when it comes time to talk to prospective customers, you have to dumb it down. And so most studios go from like a 9 or a 10 to like a 7 or an 8. But really, you need to go down to like a 1 or a 2, because that's where your buyer is.
Yeah.
And, as an expert, you're looking at it going, oh my gosh, people are going to want to see the caliber of our technique. They're going to want to see our credentials. They want to know the provenance of where we've come from, and our lineage and our history and how we've got here. And your average parent's just like showing up going, yeah, but is my kid going to like it? And so like, take a look at your social, take a look at your website, take a look at, wherever you're advertising, your newsletters, the emails you're sending. And if you've got really elite dancers, you may actually be pushing novice beginner dancers away. And we see it all the time.
Yeah. I think the website, especially, I don't think people realize the importance of making sure that it's congruent among everything. So we have a lot of clients that, they want to grow their preschool programs. They're aware of this. We're advertising it. We got the right content of it. We got our 3 proven ad types to start going after those targets. But then what has to happen in conjunction with that is likely some changes on the website, where if we're promoting preschool classes on ads and then people go visit your social media or your website and they see nothing but competition photos and like the elite skill talent, they may think twice about, is this the right place for my kid to start their dance journey? And so you just got to make sure like everywhere your digital footprint should be aligned, in my opinion, with the goal of who you're trying to attract. Now,
Absolutely.
you may be listening and be like, well, I don't want to hide. I still want people to know about this stuff and that there is options for that. I completely agree. Just maybe have it on a separate page that's not your homepage. Your homepage should be positioned for new prospective clients who are researchy right now, not necessarily for existing families or competition. If you're looking to grow that, I don't think that should be the main focus. Like if your main focus is these younger, younger age groups, your homepage should reflect that. Keep those things in other places on your website where those who are looking for it, they can find it as well.
They'll also ask. I mean, if you've got a kid who shows up and she's 3, 4, 5 and is really excelling and mom sees this and wants to do more, they're going to say, what else do you have for me? And that's where you get to kind of guide people into maybe your competition track or your elite performance track or your team or, all these other things that you have at your disposal. But again, it's not going to be the vast majority of kids. And you know this, but it's hard to hear, it's hard to say out loud, is most kids are not going to dance with you for 15 years. They just aren't. They're going to peel off at some point before. And so when all of the photos of your digital footprint talk about how elite you are and show really advanced skills, well, you're talking to a very narrow subset of the market that may actually be at that level or even aspire to be at that level versus every mom, every dad wants a program for their 4-year-old to find some measure of success in.
Yeah.
One of our clients actually, just to put this in perspective, had a situation come up where they'd been in business for many, many years and a new studio popped up in town. And this studio started sort of blacklisting our clients, a studio, and saying, oh, they only do baby stuff. Oh, they only do little kid stuff. Oh, they're not very advanced. They're not very good. And our client was like really upset by this when it started happening and came to us and like, what do I do? How do I handle this? Like, I am not quite sure. And we didn't, to be honest, we didn't have the solution. They came up with it on their own. But the next time we talked, you decided, well, we're just going to lean into this and we're going to become known as the little kid studio in town. And guess what? They just started vacuuming up all the little kids in town and everybody started walking through their front door. But what does that mean, that they don't have a really phenomenal, super strong, teenage program? No, they totally do. And any parent that walks through the door with their 3-year-old will see that and has the opportunity to say yes to that. So while it was intended as a slight and kind of a blackmailing of sort, it actually worked out really positively in their favor because now they're getting the little ones and all they have to do is keep them. And suddenly they've got the teenagers as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So everyone can use that in their favor right now, no matter what it is. So if I think really bottom line is if you're looking for sustainable growth over time, it starts at the bottom. And so your marketing has got to speak to it from the very beginning, all across the board. As a quick takeaway, because I hear this a lot in our onboarding calls and I want everyone to be prepared for the future, but I hear whenever we start requesting photos of these age groups, of these programs, they're always like, oh, wow, I'm going to have to go take new ones because for the last 10, 15 years, I've only been taking pictures at our competitions, at our recitals. I don't have the classroom photos. I don't have, students interacting with my teacher or showing the friendship. Like they don't have it. It's surprising to me how little emphasis there is on getting content of classes. Everyone usually defaults to getting the competition photos or the recital photos. And that's pretty much what their social media reflects. And so when it comes time to setting up their marketing system and we ask for that, so like, Can you give me a week? I need to go get some photos because I've been doing it wrong for the last decade. And so anyone listening, start
Yeah.
now. Start now. It's kind of that proverb, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is right now. So go get your seedlings, pictures of your seedlings, your young dancers who are growing up to blossom. Start now. That's what you got to start putting on social media right away if you haven't already.
Super good stuff. Super good stuff. Well, we've talked about a lot in a relatively short period of time. We talked about the mindset of parents, what it is that they're really looking for. And again, it isn't in most cases an elite program. You will find those out there, but that's the exception, not the rule. We're really looking for just parents with little kids who want to get out of the house, get the wiggles out, have a good time. We
Yeah.
talked about the importance of content, structuring from the bottom, taking pictures of the types of children that you are looking to attract. Younger is better. You've got the most runway with them. We've talked about the importance of a website, and we're actually going to go deeper into this topic in a few weeks' time. We're going to invite a friend of ours on the podcast. It's the first time we will
I'm
ever
excited for
host a
this one.
guest. And we're going to talk website. He does websites, beautiful websites, but even more than beautiful, they are powerful in terms of generating leads for your business. So we're going to leave you a little bit with a cliffhanger there, but do tune in. It's going to be phenomenal. It's coming up in a couple weeks' time. And then finally, we talked about just collecting content from the littles today. We've started doing this more actively with a handful of our clients. We've been pilot testing some processes around how can we collect and share more content. And we'll be sharing more about that as we get going too. But right now, it is absolutely gangbusters. So that's what I've got for now. We will see you later.